Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of NAHL Coaches Corner. My name is Alex Kyrias. Today we sit down with the new head coach of the Wichita Falls Warriors, Garrett Roth. Garrett, how you doing today?
Good, Alex. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
We are doing great here. Certainly a new head coach, a new team, but a familiar face in NAHL circles. First off, congratulations on the position. Take me through the hiring process. At what point, Garrett, did you know that being the next head coach and the first head coach of the Wichita Falls Warriors was basically a reality for you?
Well, thank you for that, Alex. I appreciate it. We started, once the season was canceled, started our process of building the team with Bismarck for the next season with camps, and I received a phone call on a Friday night and was asked if I'd have interest in a head coaching position in Wichita Falls, and it was something that definitely intrigued me. So I was able to have a interview set up with Mary Ann, and through that process, I really agreed with her vision for what she wanted from a coaching staff, from an organizational standpoint. Really meshed with the organization here in Bismarck that I was coming from, as far as community driven, about the players, about development, wanting to have a competitive team year in and year out. And so it was really a situation that was a no-brainer for myself and my family. Being here in Bismarck and for the last 8 years, working with Coach Sedevy, Lane, taught me a lot of lessons about what it takes to be a head coach. And there's a lot of things that I learned from him through our relationship, how he handled players, how we handled different situations, how he was able to put people around him that he trusted, that he knew could get a job done. And so it was definitely a team mentality as far as a staff, and that was something that was really evident when having that conversation with Mary Ann, that was something that she was looking for in a staff, and it just felt like it was a perfect fit.
Okay, Garrett, so you jump right into the fire in what's going to be an 8-team South Division. Obviously, you're very familiar with the league. You come from the Central Division, which perhaps is the division that features probably top to bottom the most parity in the league, but the South is obviously up there in terms of the quality of competition, the high level of teams that are playing at, particularly those that are winning the division each year and going to the Robertson Cup. So I'm wondering, from your standpoint, as you sit here today, what are some of the things that you're going to have to do to make sure that the Warriors are successful, particularly in the South?
Well, the biggest thing is, when took the position, finding someone that, had the same vision to be on the coaching staff was extremely important. And so the first call I made was to Keenan Kelly to see if he'd have interest in coming on board. And fortunately, it was a situation where, he was excited to be involved in, building another expansion program. He's had experience with it. And it just, for me, it was the comfort level there, knowing that, recruiting against him for a number of years in the Central, going after the same players. I know, he has a loyalty to his coaching staff. He's a diligent, hard worker. He's a guy that when you're out there recruiting, he's very personable and he's trustworthy. He recruits the right way. And so to make sure that you have a staff that you can, build a roster with was something that was really important. And so, the division has excellent coaches, a number of teams that are always fighting for, the top point leaderboard in the league. And so, for us, the first and foremost, the most important thing for us was in building a roster was trying to get some junior experienced players. And so we put our notes together, came to a decision that we really needed to go after players with junior experience, whether it was by trade, getting players that we were familiar with that played in the league, or players that came from different leagues that could come in and play impactful roles. And so that was, the first thing that we wanted to accomplish, and we were able to make some trades through the relationships that we have in the league with other coaches. And we felt that, through the first month of the process, we were able to obtain some really nice junior experienced players that we know our first year guys are going to be able to lean on and learn through the process, get acclimated to junior hockey because, let's face it, with 8 teams in the division, only 4 making playoffs, there's no points, or every single night you're battling for points to ultimately try to make the playoffs. And so you can't have, you can't struggle at the beginning of a season and get off to a rough start and expect to be able to, make up that ground. So to put a team that can compete from day one together, to have a group of guys that work hard, have a good culture was something that we really wanted to focus on heading into day one.
Okay, so we may get an idea of what you plan to do in the entry draft, but I know that coming up, you have got some tryout camps, as do a lot of NAHL teams here in July. Obviously trying to have them before the entry draft, trying to determine who you're going to bring to a final camp, hopefully for the start of the season. Having been an assistant coach in the NAHL for so long with Bismarck, I know that the assistant coach is often the one that's in charge of the scouting, doing a lot of the scouting, doing a lot of prep for the draft, a lot of the prep for these tryout camps coming up. So with that knowledge, why are tryout camps so important in building an NAHL roster?
Well, you have your tenders, you have your draft, and then you have your pre-draft camps and your main camps. And for us, a big part of building your roster is being able to see players in person over the course of the season. Sometimes you haven't seen a player since December, and when you're able to see them in May, now it'll be July. Over 7 months, players really develop physically and ability-wise. So for us to be able to identify players in person within our staff, be able to get a feel for the type of person they are with our meetings and everything, it's an imperative part of building a roster. Every year, it seems like we have had 4 to 6 players that have made our hockey team, whether it's through pre-draft or our main camp, that just came and earned a spot on our team. And so it's a big part of the process for us. It's something where, as a player, I made a team through a pre-draft, and then I got cut. I went down, played junior B hockey, and came back up, got cut from another North American Hockey League team, and ultimately ended up, in Bismarck. But it's a situation where not every path for every player is going to be the same. Not every player is going to get tendered or drafted, but it's what players do with their opportunity when they're in front of a coaching staff that ultimately is going to give them that opportunity to make a hockey team and to earn a spot on the roster. And, every single player that comes into our league, juniors across the board, are quote unquote one of the best players on their previous team, whether it's AAA or high school. So to earn a spot through a camp, you have to really do the intangible things: block shots, finish checks, show a high compete level, do anything that you can to stick out and to stand out and showcase what you can bring to a team. Because ultimately, as a coaching staff, when you're putting together a roster, you need all different types of players to have success. And you need those guys that are the quote unquote, the last 3 or 4 guys on your roster to be guys that can jump into a game and help you win hockey games, and that can push the pace of practice and play with compete every single day so that your team doesn't become complacent over the course of the season. And I think through the tryout camp, when players' backs are against the wall, it might be their last camp that they're going to for the summer, you really see some of that drive and that passion in a player, and you see that mental fortitude that they're going to do whatever it takes to make a team. And those are the type of players that you want to bring into an organization, especially for us being an expansion team, because ultimately we're going to have 23 fresh faces that have never played together, and we need a group that's going to compete, that's going to come together as one and represent the city of Wichita Falls, extremely well.
You've been coaching in the league a while. Obviously, this is your first foray into head coaching, so your answer may change over time. But I wanted to ask you, having been in the league, having been a part of something like coaches' meetings and things like that, going to the meetings at the NHL draft when we used to do that pre-COVID, maybe what are 1 or 2 things that really stand out to you or that you enjoy most about coaching in the league?
I think the first thing, being involved in all aspects of an organization. There's not a lot of positions in hockey where you can be part of the recruiting process, the scouting, can have your hands in video, player development, being on the bench, coaching, doing all sorts of different stuff, individual development with players. And so the ability our league provides for you to grow as a coach in different facets really allows you to understand, what it takes to move up in the ranks, but also what it takes to be successful and to help players achieve their ultimate goal. And that's moving on and playing at the highest level of hockey that they can. Second part to that is definitely, take the most pride in helping players advance to play college hockey, whether it's Division III or Division I. At the end of the day, if you can get an education and still play the sport you love and play hockey till you're 24, 25 years old, I don't think there's a better lifestyle than that. So to be able on a day-to-day basis work with players, help guide them and help develop them not only on the ice but off the ice in the maturation process of turning them from a 17, 18-year-old kid into a young man when they're 21 years old through the process, you really see how much they grow. And to be able to be part of that and help them achieve their ultimate dream, I don't think there's a better feeling than, being a part of that and seeing a player so excited that they achieved something that they didn't know if they were really going to get that opportunity to do. So I definitely think, helping players develop and advance, this league offers that opportunity for players like no other league.
Finally, Garrett, I know you've made your way down to Wichita Falls probably a couple of times, maybe not permanently yet, but we know that's going to be coming up. Just your thoughts on the area, how things sit right now in Wichita Falls dealing with the pandemic, and your thoughts on that great building there that has housed NAHL teams in the past in the K. Yeager Coliseum.
Oh, it's a beautiful facility. And I was fortunate enough when I played in the AWHL with Bismarck before it merged into the North American Hockey League. We had the Wichita Falls Rustlers that ultimately became the Wildcats a year later. And we had a playoff series against them. And I know that their first game, I think they set a record at the time for the most fans ever at a junior hockey game at like 6,700. So, when we showed up at the K. Yeager, and we were playing in front of 5,500 fans in that playoff series, it was surreal. Obviously coming from Bismarck, in the American West Hockey League, we were maybe getting in front of 1,500 fans most. So to be in that environment, in a playoff atmosphere, it was truly an electric feeling. And, just the community, talking with John LaFontaine, who coached there with the Wildcats for a number of years, he had nothing but great things to say about the community, the people, how genuine they are, the support that they have for, when the Wildcats were there. And so for us as an organization, we want to be part of the community. We want to give back. We want to be involved in the youth program and help them grow the numbers there. We want to be in the school programs, helping, with anti-bullying and nutrition, making sure that our guys are out in the public and doing everything that we can to represent our organization in Wichita Falls proudly. And so, it's an honor to be able to be part of that community. I'm really excited to move the family down there and to get our players in town, because I think they're absolutely going to love the town. I think they're going to love the facility. And I think as an organization, Marianne has done a fabulous job of putting things together and doing things professionally. And I think it's going to be one of the best places to play in North American Hockey League.
Well, Garrett's always special when a assistant coach moves up the ranks to become a head coach. It's actually happened a couple times here in this off season. So we are excited to see you take your career to the next level there as the next head coach of the Wichita Falls Warriors, an expansion team. But judging on by what you've done so far, we expect some great things there and look forward to seeing you guys on the ice in the 2021 season.
Well, I really appreciate that, Alex, and you guys stay safe and healthy, okay?
Absolutely, to you and your family as well. That is Garrett Roth, the new head coach of the Wichita Falls Warriors here on another edition of NAHL Coaches Corner.